What's up everyone, welcome back. In today's video we're gonna talk about Nomsy. In this video I'm going to have a quick review of two of my games which I played trainers, and hopefully we will find the best way to play Nomsy. So the first game is going to be probably the most standard way to play trainers and Nomsy, and that is going for Revel and Canoneer Splash. You can try to 3-star all trainers and play for a Tristana carry, or just ignore the 3-star trainers and go for a quirky carry late game. Both options are good, but in this first game we are trying to go for the 3-star trainers and get the most out of Nomsy. Alright, so in order to get Nomsy on board we need two trainers, and one of them is a Heimerdinger. Heimerdinger is a 1 cost, so there's a good chance that he is in the first carousel and you can pick him up. And the reason for that is, in order to really get a good Nomsy and make her scale pretty good in the game, you need to get her on board as soon as possible, and picking up a Heimerdinger in the first carousel increases your chance to be able to play the comp. By the way, if you haven't played on PvE and you are not familiar with Nomsy, I have a full in-depth guide of all the new things in Dragonlands, so if you are interested you can check it out. So in this reroll version you wanna save as much gold as possible in the early game, because we want to get to that 50 gold as soon as possible. So at stage 2 you really do not do anything too crazy, you just play the strongest board you can possibly have, and as you can see right here we are in a pretty good spot in terms of the units that we have. We have all the 3 trainers and a Tahm Kench on top, and you probably want to add a Jinx at level 5 to enable 2 more trades, the Revel trade with Tahm Kench and the Canoneer trade with Tristana. If you can get a Tahm Kench 2-star early, he's pretty much the best 1-cost tank in the game by a mile, and he's gonna help you to have a very good early game despite Nomsy being pretty weak in the early game, or at least it is supposed to be weak. But you know, as you can see, you can actually win fights in a stage 2. So we're in a very good spot here. We are 96 health, we have 43 gold before the PvE round, and everything goes according to plan. From this point you wanna slow roll, means rolling in a way that you do not go below 50 gold, and try to 3-star your Tahm Kench and Heimer, then go level 6, 3-star Tristana, and so on. And the way Nomsy works is that the higher your star level of trainer units, the more snacks it will get and it can scale better. And remember, the scaling is on unique champions, so if you have like 2 Lulus here on board, it is still gonna give Nomsy only a total of 1 snack. So we get the perfect augment here. Since we're gonna slow roll and we are not gonna level up, the extra unit is gonna help a lot. The comp is pretty straightforward at this point, because you know the Cannoneers and Revels are one of the easier comps to play, and there's not that big of a difference in the comps because a lot of units just have automatic synergy with each other. Corki and Jinx are both Revel Cannoneer, and then you just add the extra units. And as you can see here, we are still having a very good time, we are winning fights, and that is an indicator that I believe the Nomsy is a little bit stronger than it should be in the early stages. It should be like very weak, but it's actually decent, I think. And one low-key OP thing in the comp, as I said, is Tahm Kench. Tahm Kench is too powerful and carries too many fights. He tanks so much and also does damage if you have Jinx for the Revel. I actually do expect Tahm Kench to get nerfed. I think in the 1-cost category, Tahm Kench is just too strong. Leona and Sejuani are pretty decent. Skarner is a little bit weaker, but that's understandable because the unit is an Astral, and Astral, you know, are a reroll comp, so they should be weaker early game. And then there's Taric. That is like a literal joke. I think the worst unit in the game, at least in the 1-cost category. Alright, a few things to note about how Nomsy works is that, the normal units in the game, whenever you level them up, so they get an extra star level, what they get is extra health and ability power and AD. For Nomsy, she doesn't get extra health. She gets extra health only from the snacks that she gets from trainer units. So it's not like a big jump in health bar whenever she levels. But on a star level, she gets armor and MR that, normal units don't get when they level. But she permanently gets AP and health every round from a snacks, so she can go infinite in that regard. And in terms of units, pretty much all of them are decent. The 3-cost unit, Lulu, is a mystic, and she's pretty good for a 3-cost addition. Tristana is fine without items, but if you really want to go all in on her and 3-star her and give her items, she's very, very good actually. And then there's Heimerdinger. Heimerdinger is like the 1-cost Zoe that we had before. So the way Heimerdinger works is that he gonna cast his spell on a unit that has the highest health. So if you're lose streaking early game, Heimerdinger is actually pretty bad. Because when you lose a streak, you want your units to be able to kill like 1 or 2 units. So you take less damage. But Heimerdinger's spell is gonna hit the, you know, full health backline enemy carry. But the more you go towards the late game, the better Heimerdinger becomes because his spell is still gonna cast on the backline full HP opponent and it's gonna interrupt their carry. Especially if you're going to have 3 mage, then it's gonna cast twice and it's gonna interrupt so much and is so annoying. So in the late game, Heimerdinger is actually pretty decent for a 1-cost addition that you can have. And then the most important unit, that is Nomsy. She's like a very, very good frontline unit. She applies Morello, she does a lot of damage if you make her scale, and her health bar is just too tanky. Because she can easily get to like 4000 health around the stage 7 and like plus 3000 health in stage 6 if you go for the 3-star trainer unit. And remember that a 2-star dragon has an average of 2200 health without items, and Nomsy already has like 1000 health on them without even putting a dragon in. As you can see, we are at the end of a stage 4. We still do not have our 3-star like Tom Kench, Tristana, or even Jinx. We finally hit Tom Kench here. So we are a little bit late on that, but you don't get a perfect game every day. After you get a 3-star Tristana at level 6, it's just a straightforward from there. You add Corki at level 7 and Sona at level 8, and you don't really need to reroll for anything. You can go level 9 and add a legendary unit to round up the comp, or whatever else you want to do. Maybe add a mystic. It's your choice really. You are very flexible with this. And by the way, you can see that Tristana is actually very powerful if you go for a 3-star on her, and we don't even have that many Cannoneers in. We can add more. I haven't hit them yet at this point, but we're eventually gonna hit. Overall, I think Noms is a little bit too strong in the early game. It should be even weaker than she already is because her scaling is insane. Also, one thing to note is that Nomsy ability hitbox is a little bit bigger than it looks like. So if you really scout good, you can position her in a way and really apply that Morello effect on the enemy team. So, have that in mind as well. We finally hit Corki and we get him on board. We just give the Corki the mage emblem because he uses it better than Tristana. Tristana get the 3 items. That Thresh there has to be Sona, but I haven't hit it. Also, I have 2 Lulus. If I had a 3-star Lulu, I could add whatever Mystic there was around. And we should be pretty good at this point. This is pretty straightforward to play in the late game. You just position to get the most out of Nomsy, and you should be good to go. Alright, so with that out of the way, now we're gonna see a second game. This one is gonna be shorter. We're gonna go through it a lot faster. So this one is different because in this one we're not gonna go for a 3-star trainer kind of thing. Instead, we're going for a a splash trainer. So we play some other things alongside with it, and we're not going to 3-star these trainers. And you will see that Nomsy is still pretty strong even if you do not go all in for like reroll trainers kind of thing. By the way, you probably noticed that I had Heimerdinger opener in both games. You really want to get Nomsy, early. If you are able to play trainers, let's say after the second carousel, you probably don't want to invest in it that much. Maybe just put it there if you really want to, but you don't really need to do that. I don't think it is worth it if you get it too late. So it's something that you want to activate as early as possible. Again, we hit it in a stage 1, so it is guaranteed to scale very well. And I also have a 2-star Sejuani, so things are pretty good. And remember, if you go towards like the guild splash, Nomsy is also gonna get all the values from the guild units as well. And here we hit Mage Conference. That allows us to get 1 mage even if we do not have mage active. So that is at least 1 gold per round for the rest of the game. You see here that I leveled to 4. Last game I said that I want to play towards econ as much as possible, but this is different. This is an aggressive way to play the game. Now at 2-5 we hit Rise, and now we can have even more Guild Splash and play for the 3 mage as well. By the way, guys, tell me in the comments what do you think is the best way to play Nomsy. Do you prefer to play the standard reroll version, or just going for the Canoneer Revel trainer splash with just like 2-star trainers, or do you like to splash it with like other things like the guild that I have in this game, or do you think there's like another comp that is actually better that I haven't talked about here? So tell me what do you think about the best way we can play trainers. One more thing to note is that when you're a splashing trainer, if you have enough damage, then you might just want to play 2 trainers. So in this case, I have all the 3 trainers in, but if you really want to go for like more units on the back line, you can just remove Tristana and play with Heimer and Lulu, and you will still have Nomsy. It's not gonna do double damage, but it's your choice to make, really. You can easily play 5 mage with like Mystic and Guild. You can go for more Guild. A lot of ways to play. This is why I think Guild and trainers are very, very good traits to have in the game. It enables you to play a lot of a splash in any comp. And this is like a very, very good design of the game, in my opinion. And as you see, exactly like last game, even if you're playing something that scales into the late game, we are still getting a lot of value in the early game. And that's why I think trainers should be a little bit weaker in the early game. You shouldn't really be able to win every round like this without re-rolling or anything like that. So, astrals are very, very weak in the early game. If you want to go vertical, you probably lose a streak 9 times out of 10. But it's not the same for trainers. Nomsy is a little bit weak, but not that weak in the early game. Here you can see that even without any specific emblems, we have a pretty good splash of a lot of traits, specifically 3 guild. That is pretty good. You know, if I could get something like a bard, it could have been even bigger. And I think the board is pretty stable at this point. You can do, you know, anything you want. You can go level 9, you can try to stay level 8 and try to 3-star a 4 cost or a 3 cost. Your choice really. And here, the moment I saw blue buff and the Tristana item, I'm like, okay, I'm just waiting for a Yasuo, and it's just gonna be a good addition. So we got the Yasuo here, but I still have the items on Tristana because Yasuo is 1-star, so you might want to wait for him to get 2-star. But as you can see, we're still very, very powerful. And we finally hit a Rise 3-star with the help of the Mage Conference and some rerolls. And from this point, the game is pretty much over. We are very powerful. I'm just waiting for a Yasuo 2-star to give him the Tristana items, and all should be good. And here is finally the 2-star Yasuo. Even without any specific traits on him, he's still a menace. And for the last fight of the game, Rice gets quite the items. i.e. Jules Gauntlet, 3-star, 3 Mage Rice. And you bet it's gonna hurt. And that's it for the video. Thank you guys for watching.